The first billion-dollar business built by a single person is coming. That's not, science fiction anymore. It feels like an inevitability. And it's being driven by the just staggering leverage that AI gives one person right now. Just think about what it used to take to scale a business. You needed managers, entire departments, all this structure just to manage the thinking work. Now, if you have deep, deep expertise in one area, and you combine that with this cheap on-demand intelligence, you can automate what used to be entire teams. This is what pure, raw leverage actually looks like.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a really fantastic guide that maps out how a solo founder can actually hit that $1 million mark using AI. And our mission here is to get way past the usual hype about AI automation. We're pulling out the real, actionable playbook. It's built on 4 pillars. We're going to talk about validating your idea with something called the Founder's Triangle, then building your business system with the Dream Framework. After that, we'll get into defensibility building moats, and finally, the mindset you absolutely have to pull it all off.
Okay, let's start with the core concept here. And the whole reason we're even having this conversation is the sudden commoditization of intelligence. AI basically turned thinking work, analysis, summarizing, drafting, into something you can just rent cheaply and instantly.
Yeah, and what's wild is that it wasn't some gradual decline in cost. It was a cliff. Analysis work just got dramatically cheaper almost overnight. It changed the entire economic landscape.
I remember just a few years ago, you'd have to budget a huge amount for tasks like synthesis. Imagine needing to analyze, say, 1,000 customer reviews.
Right. They used to take a team of junior analysts days, maybe weeks, and it could cost thousands of dollars for insights that were, frankly, incomplete. It was a huge drag on everything.
And now?
Now you feed that same messy, unstructured data into a tool like ChatGPT 5.2 or NotebookLM, and you get clean, structured, actionable insights back in minutes. For what? A few bucks.
Exactly. And the system sees patterns a human team would just miss because of the sheer scale of it all.
So the implication is massive. Speed is no longer a competitive advantage. It's just the baseline. It's the table stakes.
So if speed is the default for everyone, and anyone can rent this intelligence, what becomes the real differentiator?
It moves to taste, to focus, and to the quality of the problems you choose to solve.
And that focus brings us to step 1, which is validation. The source is pretty ruthless on this point. Before you write a single line of code, your idea has to pass the test of the Founder's Triangle.
The first side of that triangle is domain expertise.
Yeah.
We're talking 5, maybe 10 years deep in one specific industry. Why? Because you already get the problems. You know the buying habits. You know the internal politics. You know the unspoken rules of the game.
Your competitors are starting from scratch. You're starting from year 5. That knowledge of why things are broken is just this huge, uncopyable head start.
Then the second point is depth in a skill. What's the one thing that feels almost effortless to you, but you know is really difficult for other people? It could be writing clean code. It could be persuasive writing. Maybe it's just an intuition for prompt engineering that gets you consistent results. That's your foundation.
I still wrestle with that one. It's kind of that vulnerable admission, right? Even after working with these tools for years, there's always that question in the back of my mind. Is my skill really deep enough? Like when you're wrestling with prompt drift in a huge automated system, you have to wonder if it's solid enough to build a $1 million business on. That uncertainty is real.
It is. And the third point, which so many brilliant technical people just ignore, is a unique distribution advantage. You have to have some way to reach users that's better than just cold emails and running ads.
So like an audience you've already built or a strong network.
Exactly. Trusted relationships in an industry. If you don't have that, growth is just exponentially harder.
The case study they use, Harvey AI, is perfect. I think it's valued at $8 billion now.
Something like that, yeah. They nailed all 3 points. The founder, Winston Weinberg, he was a litigator. So check. Legal domain expertise.
Yeah.
They leverage expertise from DeepMind for their AI depth. So check. And then for distribution, and this is the key, they didn't just issue a press release. They piloted it directly inside top-tier law firms. They used their existing trusted network.
And that's why they scaled so fast.
That's it. That's the formula.
So what's the biggest risk if you ignore that third point, the distribution channel?
Lack of distribution makes even a brilliant idea feel like a lonely hobby.
Okay, let's move to step 2. Once you have a validated idea, you need the Dream Framework. This is about building the actual business machine.
Right, the system that runs consistently so you, the founder, aren't the one turning every crank.
It starts with D for demand, lead generation. And the test for this is simple. Can you, right now, get 10 real conversations with potential buyers in the next 7 days? If the answer is no, you don't have a product problem. You have a demand problem.
Mm-hmm. Then R is for revenue. Your pricing, your packages, your profit. The big question here is, will your support costs explode as you get more users? You've got to leave real margin after all your costs.
E is the engine. This is your core product, the thing that actually creates value. It should take some kind of messy input, like a pile of documents, and create a clean output, like a private Google for that company.
A is for admin, the boring stuff. Legal, invoicing, accounting. It doesn't make you money directly, but it stops the whole thing from descending into chaos.
And finally, M for marketing, which isn't just ads. It's your brand, your reputation. It's about being clear and consistent, not just loud. That's how you build real trust.
And this is where AI is just such a game changer for a solo founder, especially on the admin side. There's a great example in the source about a guy named Mike Salvatore who runs a hospitality group. He uses AI, specifically NotebookLM, to analyze all his raw operational data.
And he's not just getting summaries back.
No, not at all. The AI is analyzing cash flow, it's spotting weird things in the budget, and it's even creating custom training materials, like little private podcasts for his managers, based on that financial data.
So the AI is basically his CFO.
It's his CFO, his compliance officer. It's incredible. Whoa. I mean, just imagine scaling a business to 1 billion data queries without a traditional finance team. Because the AI is doing the heavy lifting on analysis and admin, the efficiency is. It's just mind-blowing.
That's the goal. But the big mistake people make is trying to build that whole dream machine at once. The guide calls this the 18-inch rule. Just focus on the one task that's right in front of you, the thing that's stopping you from moving forward.
Yeah, you start small, automate one thing. Automate your invoicing for admin, or use an AI stack to enrich 100 leads for demand. It's about those small, repeatable wins.
So if you manage to automate admin, what's the most dangerous part of the framework to leave undefined?
The engine. The engine is the most dangerous. It has to solve one core problem cleanly and clearly. If the engine stalls, the whole machine is worthless.
And this brings us to where a lot of successful solo founders get into trouble. Step 3. Moats. Defensibility. The moment your thing starts working, the copycats show up. You need protection that actually gets stronger over time.
Yeah, the classic example is always Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
Their entire business model was built on late fees, which everyone hated. So when Netflix showed up with subscriptions, Blockbuster couldn't copy them. If they did, they'd destroy their main source of revenue. That inability to change is what killed them.
So that's the first moat, counterpositioning. You enter the market with a model that your big competitors literally can't copy without hurting themselves.
Right. Think of Southwest Airlines.
Right.
They got rid of assigned seating in first class. The legacy airlines couldn't do that without alienating their most profitable customers. Or Airbnb using spare rooms. Hotels just couldn't compete with that supply. You want the incumbent's response to be self-destructive.
Moat number 2 is sticky habits and high switching costs. You want your product to become essential. If a company's files all live there, if their workflows depend on it, the pain of leaving becomes too high. You become the default.
But the third mode, and this is the really critical one for AI, is proprietary data and learning loops. This one is quieter, but it's so powerful. Your product gets better with every single person who uses it because it's learning from their data.
It's a compounding advantage. More users means better, unique data. That data improves the model, which makes the product better. A better product gets more users, and the cycle just accelerates. The gap between you and your competitors just gets wider and wider every day.
Exactly. Look at a tool like Cursor, the AI code editor. It's tracking millions of developer keystrokes, seeing common mistakes, seeing what works. It uses that huge proprietary data set to ship new features daily that its competitors just does. They don't have the data to even think of, let alone build. That is a real unbreachable moat.
And that brings us to the final piece, step 4, the mindset. The tools are changing so fast nobody can keep up. But your mindset is what determines the direction you actually go. And being a solo founder means facing a lot of fear.
Yeah, and not just fear of failure, it's the fear of being completely overwhelmed by operations. The source has a great clarifying question for when you get stuck. Just ask yourself, what will I regret more later? Trying this and failing, or never trying it at all? It cuts through the overthinking.
Because at the end of the day, even with all this automation, the human element is still your strongest advantage. AI can't provide taste or purpose. It can't build relationships or exercise nuanced judgment. That comes from you, from your experience.
Yeah, you still control the vision. And that's what keeps your brilliant AI-driven analysis from just becoming another cheap commodity itself.
So to recap for everyone listening, we've got the 4 pillars for that $1 million solo AI business. First, you validate with the founder's triangle.
Then you systematize your operations with the dream machine.
Then you defend what you've built with moats.
And you hold it all together with the right mindset.
So for you, the person listening and wanting to do this, here's how it could look on a timeline. Weeks 1 and 2, just validation, be brutal. Test your idea against that founder's triangle.
Weeks 3 and 4, design the dream machine on paper. Map it all out. What's the input and output for each letter? What's your starting AI stack?
Weeks 5 through 8, you build the first piece of the engine, and this is critical, automate one single recurring task.
Yeah, either an admin or demand. Just get one automated loop running.
Then months 3 to 6, you launch, you get paying customers, and you just iterate like crazy based on what they tell you.
And then the final stage. Months 6 to 12, that's when you get strategic about building your moats. You start implementing those data loops, you create those high switching costs.
The key takeaway is that success here comes from repeatable, automated loops, not from heroic one-off efforts. The opportunity is real, and the playbook is actually pretty clear.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If intelligence is now a commodity you can just rent, take a hard look at your work week. How much of it is spent on thinking work that should just be outsourced to a machine now? What's the single biggest, most annoying administrative or analytical task you've been putting off that an AI could probably do in, 10 minutes? For just a few cents.
Time to go find that task. And maybe start sketching out your own founder's triangle this week.